Hi, I'm Christy Smith. I teach sixth grade humanities, so the English part of humanities at Jefferson Middle School. I made a little PowerPoint slide since we're not in person to try to anticipate some of your questions. And I've been at Jefferson now, I actually think this is might be my 18th year, but somewhere in that vicinity, 17, 18 years. And I've taught all the grades, but mostly sixth. And I think I've probably been in sixth grade for about the last 10 years. So humanities is just social studies and language arts. And that's generally most years it's just Mrs. Howe and myself. This year we have Mrs. Colette, who's going to teach a few of the English classes as well. So there'll be one other sixth grade humanities teacher this year. At a glance, things you would predict that we're going to work on: reading, writing, all the skills like prediction, summarizing, and inference, and of course, thinking critically. We'll use various things. We use novels, short stories, independent reading, and for writing, we have Step Up to Writing and the Six Traits of Writing, if you've heard of those. Step Up to Writing is a scaffolding of how to do your writing as an organization with ideas, and Six Traits is that also, and then with some more nuance to it. SBA, a lot of people ask us about that. It used to, sometimes people still call it the SBAC. That's the Smarter Balanced Assessment. It is testing, hopefully, kids' skills for high school and beyond. And of course, every year, I say high school, but every year it's at their grade level, but they'll continue to take it through high school to get their diploma. So sometimes people ask, do you teach to the test? And I would say that the Smarter Balance does a pretty good job of testing things you would already want to teach, like text-based evidence, having a question and finding support for it in the text, how to do that. Writing a 5-paragraph essay is something they do. So many of the skills that are tested are already ones that would have been taught. So luckily for us, they overlap quite a bit. Vocabulary, that's something parents ask about. So research, there's 5 traits, 5 strands of reading instruction, and vocabulary is one of them. So we'll do some vocabulary this year, focus on root words, suffixes, prefixes, common and academic words. So it'd be things like kids might have heard, but they don't completely know what it means. If I ask them, okay, define it, they might kind of know and give me some context, but they don't actually know all the way what it means. So it's that type of a word, and then suffixes and prefixes and those kind of things just for general academic words. Average timeline, usually 30 words every 2 or 3 weeks. That's kind of the general way that goes. We usually do some flashcards. We practice in class, do some pairing, quiz each other, little assignments, and then a quiz also. And usually those quizzes involve vocabulary. And then if we worked on any other skills during that week that I thought I wanted to kind of formatively assess and see where the kids were at. So we might have worked on Step Up to Writing, making an outline, and maybe that's on the quiz too, so I can see where they're at. Organization. This is what I would say. Mrs. Howe would say this too. We've worked together a long time. It is the most critical part, maybe, but a very critical part of sixth grade. So when kids are struggling, it's not very often that they can't do the work, things like that. It's more of a, now we're going from 5th grade to 6th grade, and all of a sudden you have 6 classes to balance, and kids need, have a hard time sometimes getting that all organized and going, figuring out how to do that. So in my class, you'll need a spiral notebook. The supply list is on Jefferson's website. It's typical things. Mrs. Howe and I will share a binder, just like a 1-inch binder is fine. Most work will be in the spiral, but not all of it. For instance, in Mrs. Howe's class, the kids will do a map. Well, the map won't be in the folder that she uses, so you'd need a binder to keep those things. If we wrote an essay, you would need a binder maybe to keep some of the pre-work. And then things like glue and colored pencils and pencils. Those are all on that list. Spiral, that system, Mrs. Howe, like I said, has a folder. I have a spiral, and that's probably the best system. Well, not probably, it is the best system I've ever used. And it's just a spiral notebook, and kids glue things in there. I have the glue. We just glue it right then and there. We take notes. We might have assignments, of course, in there and those things. And the first time I did it, I was a little worried, thinking, oh no, what if kids lose this? And they really don't. But if I give them individual papers, especially now that we don't have lockers and everything goes in your backpack, that's much harder for 6th graders to keep track of than a spiral, because that's like everything's in it. You glued it in, you'd have to lose the whole spiral. And I thought that might be a problem, but it really is not. So that's sort of the system we'll use, in social studies has a similar one using a folder. Skyward, I know Mrs. Howell will talk about this in hers as well. And we just kind of made a little chart, what Skyward is versus Schoology. Schoology will be used some, but at this moment, it's certainly not used all the time. So I'll kind of do Schoology first. So in Schoology, you'll be able to find a calendar of assignments, due dates, rubrics. If there's something digitally, like I had kids write an essay and I graded it online, they typed it and I graded it, that might be in Schoology, where you can see how the grade broke it down. In Skyward, you can see the overall grades, the cumulative grades, and individual scores, academic discipline records, attendance. I think you can pay for your school lunches on there. That's a more expansive system. But for the teachers, for just teachers, it is where you will find the grade book. That's where your child's grade is. So Skyward's excellent for checking progress, but by the time you see the grade, the assignment was already due. So if you have an essay that was due on a Tuesday, and I get them graded and they're put in by Thursday, which would never really happen that fast probably, but the whole essay, but I try. We put it in there on Thursday. Well, that means by the time you see it Thursday, it wasn't turned in on Tuesday. So Schoology is really where you want to look for calendars of assignments. Kids all can show where that is. They all have an account. The assignments we're returning to more paper pencil work. But the due dates we listed in Schoology. So even if it's a paper pencil assignment, the due date should be, all the teachers have due dates in Schoology, but we will have due dates in Schoology. So it's more about current and upcoming due dates. Skyward, the official grade book, a record of grades for past work. Communication, the quickest way to contact me is usually through email right there. We can set up meetings with multiple teachers, the counselors. We can have, different families have different needs, so we'll do our best to help. I included a few emails there as needed. And feel free also, of course, to call, but most parents usually end up emailing because it's just a little bit quicker, but any way that works for you is fine. And that is it. So I look forward to seeing all the kids tomorrow, and looking forward to working with them all year. Thanks very much.